Welcome to Studio Snack. I'm Lydia Thornley, designer, creative director and sketcher.
And I'm Narcisa Oleda, and today I feel like a ghost.
And so you picked Halloween for this month's episode because you found an appropriate snack, didn't you?
Yes, so we were talking about Monster Munch, I don't know why, and I thought it was very interesting. And then you just went and do some nethery for us?
Oh, I have.
Excellent.
I have. I love that it has its own Wikipedia page.
Yes.
There was even a Monster Munch club, but most interestingly, it was originally political. Who knew? It was called the Prime Monster, a political attack on James Callaghan. Then the name was, of course, changed. And it was advertised as the biggest snack that money can buy. In these times, supersizing or perhaps shrinkflation would have affected that. But nobody was entirely sure whether they were monsters' feet or whole monsters, to which walkers replied that they thought of them as feet, but they didn't want to stop anyone coming up with their own ideas.
Because you put your fingers in the holes of the Monster Munch,
You've
and then you
obviously
pretend
eaten more Monster Munch than I have.
and then you pretend to be a monster walking.
But onward to actual Halloween snacks. I googled when did Halloween snacks become a thing, as you do.
Tell me.
And in reply, I got an up-to-date rundown on this year's snacks from the grocer. Never let it be said that I'm not thorough in my research. And these include mummified eclairs, not actual mummified eclairs, they just look like mummies.
Okay.
Scare strings, which are just cheese strings in Halloween packaging, as far as I can see. Skeleton sweets. Some interesting collabs. Monster Munch have done one with Heinz Mayo, and Maynard's have done one with Warner Brothers for Beetlejuice snacks, and Greggs, bless their hearts, for a proper effort with a pumpkin biscuit.
They're always good though, Greggs.
They are. They know who they are. I love
Yes.
that about Greggs. But where did Halloween come from? Well, it has its roots in an ancient Celtic festival on the 1st of November. I will try and pronounce this correctly, pronounced Samhain. A sort of mash-up of harvest festival and ghost busting. The Celts would wear scary costumes to confuse the spirits in the hope that they'd leave them alone. And as so often happened, a Christian festival took its place as All Souls' Day, then All Hallows' Eve. Carving lanterns originated in Ireland. Let me start that again. Carving lanterns originated in Ireland, based on a character who kept trapping the devil and would only let him go on condition that he wouldn't go to hell. But heaven didn't want his soul either, so he was forced to wander as a ghost. And the story goes that the devil gave him a coal in a hollowed-out turnip to light his way. So turnips were carved before pumpkins. I can't imagine that was easy.
Wow, that would be like...
They're like solid.
Yes.
How do you do that?
With a scalpel and...
Yeah, there must have been a lot of fingers damaged in the course of doing that. And trick-or-treating, there are three theories behind where that started. The first one, that the Celts would leave food out to appease the spirits. There was the Scottish tradition of guising food and money for prayers for the dead. And a German-American Christmas tradition of, I love this word, bell snickling.
I love it.
Where households would guess the identity of the visitor. Apple bobbing, interestingly, was a Roman courting ritual for the harvest festival of Pomona.
As you do.
So,
I'm glad we've gone on Tinder now.
So where did sweets come into it? Trick-or-treating became popular in the 1950s, and it was just one of fruit, nuts, coins, toys, but sweets dominated from the 1970s. For hygiene reasons, parents didn't want anything unwrapped. But that's just Halloween. I was interested in whether there were any snacks associated with the Day of the Dead, which is on the 1st and 2nd of November. And there was the Aztec summer custom of honouring the dead by placing offerings at tree stumps. All Souls' Day came with the Spanish conquistadors and a family reunion with ancestors as well as living relatives. And one of the offerings was spirit bread, which was sprinkled with sugar and topped with bone-shaped decorations. Also sugar skulls. I looked up some pictures of these, and they're beautiful, highly decorative things.
Nice.
Then I explored general snack weirdness, and the weirdest seem to be chefs' post-service suppers that they make after they've done a restaurant service. There was a Guardian piece about these, and they included, wait for this, buried Baby Bell pot noodle, vegan instant noodle sandwich, which sounds weirdly nice.
How do you... Weirdly nice. Yes, I guess so.
Yeah, vanilla ice cream and pickles.
No.
Red wine marinated Maltesers.
I can see that working, to be honest.
I can't imagine they don't melt, though. I'd kind of like to know what happens. Fried egg and apricot jam sandwiches, which I think I need to try. I like the sound of that.
I think we should try that.
Yeah. And I went on virtual travels as well and found fish and chip gelato from Australia, which sounds weird but interesting. But Narcissus, you've got much weirder things for us, haven't you?
When I studied Japanese, a lot of people used to bring us Kit Kats and different flavors. And so I had a little bit of a dig on that. And it's, I think, since 2000 that it has become like a culture in Japan. And since then, they've developed about 300 flavors. And some of them, they're really, really bizarre. So some of them is like wasabi, miso soup, soy sauce, ginger ale, or red potato.
How does a red potato taste different
Yes.
in
Or
a Kit Kat?
The ones I have managed to try from my colleagues of my Japanese classes are a lot more normal, which is matcha, strawberry, peach, which they're not so exotic. But I'd like to try some of the miso. But then that also, all this flavory thing got me thinking as well about the crisps, because they do develop bizarre tastes. I remember in 2009 there was like a competition which I vaguely recall participating. Don't ask me what flavor I suggested, but the winner was Builder's Breakfast.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
And I've discovered broccoli flavored. You might as well just eat the broccoli.
But also you can get broccoli chips that are made from actual broccoli.
Yeah, I
That's
just don't
very
understand
odd.
why would you flavor
Yeah.
broccoli. Salted caramel,
Yeah, maybe.
Guinness, cheese and beans on toast,
Yeah,
crisp,
there is a lot going on there.
cappuccino.
That's just wrong.
That's really disgusting. That also reminds me an episode on Dragon's Den that they went really bonkers on crisp chocolate. So basically it was bars of chocolate with crisps inside.
That's very strange.
And Peter Jones went just like really, really bonkers on it.
And because we're interested in waste, I looked that up as well. Discarded pumpkins alone account for 18,000 tonnes of food waste in the UK alone. There are plastic wrappers. The Soil Association had a really interesting post on how to avoid all of that. I think there's a lot going out for families if they want to think about how to do a waste-free Halloween.
I'm smelling an experiment here.
Yes. Over properly autumnal, very spicy chai, we came up with the idea to make skeleton snacks from the inside of traditional Halloween snacks.
How did you get on?
Well, thinking about waste, what I did first, I did two experiments, of course, as I always do. I made pumpkins from pumpkin seed. And it's really interesting, as with illustration or putting logos together, you have to think about how much can you take away to make something still look like the object it is. So I started off making things that look like pumpkins. And then I thought, hang on a minute, if it's to look like Halloween, it needs to be a pumpkin with a face. So I did the outlines with the face on. And then, having photographed those, I needed to treat them so that it gave you something that felt like an outline, and then think, what colour is a pumpkin? Bit of experimentation there. And what colour combination says Halloween? So you've got the orange and black thing going on. So there are so many micro decisions that go on, I think, with designers from one stage to another, that was really interesting. But the more surprising thing that I did was I was thinking about toffee apples, and I'd eaten an apple with my lunch, and I snapped the apple core in half, and the shape that made was really interesting. It was like a flower almost. So I photographed the end of it and then edited that down to a toffee apple shape. And what it did when I treated it with several filters, that then looked like the wrapping of a toffee apple, or that kind of crackly texture that toffee goes. But then I worked with multiple layers to get that sort of toffee density to the colour as I went along. So it was quite a long experiment of imagery and colour, but very interesting, taking the inside of something and thinking, how can we make it reflect the outside?
We'll put all this to our social network just so people can see it.
So what does this tell us about our design practice? I've been reminded that sometimes it's good to turn ideas inside out or to try combinations that shouldn't work, but sometimes do. And it's also reminded me that each festival has a language, a colour palette, and I'm thinking ahead to the next big one with another project that I'm working on. How about you, Narcis?
I think it's quite interesting that sometimes the best ideas come from out of thinking the opposite or thinking inside out. I think it's quite good to not just go straight away to the first ideas, but just kind of digging in and digging out.
But I think also at a time when a lot of people are generating ideas very mechanically, whether they're working at a screen or whether they're using Gen AI, actually some of the most off-the-wall ideas happen when humans get together and have a random conversation. If you have people who come at an idea from different perspectives, you get an awful lot of value out of that in-person chat, which sounds archaic these days, but it's highly productive.
Yeah, because I think you join dots that you wouldn't see unless you have the input of someone else. I think a good example is our collaborations, because we always you come from a very different brain.
I come from a very oddly wired brain,
and I come from another one. So I think it's always quite interesting. Cappuccino chip?
I won't, thanks. I'm full of ice cream and pickles.
Okay.
Join us next month for another studio snack.
See you.
Bye.